I'm going to be discussing some issues regarding Tiffany Moser and some of the inhumane actions that has been relentlessly been inflicted upon her for about a month straight now. Most of us already knows that Tiffany's personal porn video has been passed on to a couple individuals in private, one being Forrest, who later passed it on to Katie with the obvious intentions of the foreknowledge that it would be eventually posted up publicly. Yes, to be used as a serious tool for revenge, because Forrest was dumped and was clearly displaying the scorned role, wasn't he not? Now here's the argument. Some claim that Tiffany had to have passed this video on to others in private with the underlying hopes that it would hit the public eye. Whether this is true or not, it is invalid. The fact is, two wrongs does not make a right. To illustrate, what if someone raped your mother? No, really, think about it. What if somebody raped your mother? What would be the first thing one should do in a responsible and legal manner? Yes, call the cops, call the police, whatever you want to refer them to as. But should one play the vigilante role to inflict relentless vengeance against some offender? Or maybe beat up or murder the offender? Or should he be subjected to the laws, as we all are, and call the police? What if everyone takes the law into their own hands? What kind of a society would we be living in? Think about it. Does anyone remember the Rodney King riots when 4 police officers were acquitted after brutally beating Mr. King? It was all-out chaos and violence, wasn't it? The activities, in my opinion, that are continually going on in such community sites as Truther Wars and Original Gangsters of YouTube resembles, in a small way, is a form of all-out mayhem and chaos where morals and laws does not exist there. Oddly enough, Melvin Wright himself lives by this creed of chaos reigns and refers to his site as a site of gangster. How quaint, isn't that? This couldn't be more true, and some of these members are actually proud of this. An evident display of gross, demented, and twisted thinking coming from people whose age ranges from 30s to 40s or even older. That's pretty pathetic. We're not talking about teenagers or people even in their 20s. These people are grown adults. Now, back to the issue regarding Tiffany. Let's start out first by understanding exactly what the word publish actually means, since we are having a hard time comprehending the meaning, with some at least. Okay, here is what I gathered for the meaning of publishing. It says here, and I'll take various meanings that really are more applicable to this situation with Tiffany, what's been happening. It's to prepare and issue, in parentheses it says, a book, music, or other material for public distribution. To prepare and issue a work or works. To bring to the public attention. Announce. To issue a publication. To produce an issue. Printed or electronic matter for distribution. And it says sell, but we're going by what applies to this situation. Nobody's selling anything. To have one's written book issued for publication. So it is possible to issue something if you're not the original author, is it not? To announce formally or in public. To communicate, and here it says in parentheses, defamatory matter to someone other than the person defamed. You get that? Other than Tiffany, who is the person being defamed. Okay, to publish a libel. You get the point here? So it doesn't matter who the original author is, does it? Now, what does libel mean exactly? It says here, defamation by written or printed words, pictures, or any form other than spoken words or gestures. The act or crime of publishing it. This is exactly what has been going on, and Katie herself and others has claimed that there is nothing wrong with reposting, as the term they like to describe it, as they like to put it, hence meaning publishing defamatory material. They are either plain dumb or very ignorant. So you see, one could be guilty of sexual harassment in what simply means bullying or coercion in a sexual nature. Or one can be guilty of revenge porn by posting up sexual graphic images publicly against another. What Tiffany had done in private does not constitute actually publishing it because she passed it over to someone in complete private. She did not give any formal consent that she wanted it published in the public eye. And you know it. Everybody knows this. One cannot say for certain that Tiffany wanted the video publicly known or distributed to others, or for others to continue to publish it to even more people and so on, and which is exactly has been going on with many. This is complete speculation on their part. This is what they refuse to believe or accept, that this action would be really an underlying agenda with many of these people. Hypothetically, an actual court of law would also agree they would be bound to consider the actual wrongdoing itself, and not by what is mere circumstantial at best. No, you cannot second guess what Tiffany was thinking when she passed that video on to Forrest. That's speculation. There has been multiple parties and people posting Tiffany's personal porn publicly on Google, and that's a fact, and also onto various other official porn hubs. This is revenge porn, whether you like to believe this or not, but you people are obviously playing a one-sided game here with Tiffany, a gang-stalker's mentality in which could be officially described as in-group favoritism, sometimes known as in-group, out-group bias, in-group bias, or intergroup bias, meaning that it's a pattern of favoring members of one's in-group over other out-group members. You see what I'm saying here? Only the laws and principles applies within their specific group, or here, their communities that they're in. The original gangsters of YouTube or Truther Wars, that's their in-group. People like Katie, Felix, Harry, Scott Anthony, Melvin, and many others are all conveniently excusing their actions by justifying their criminal-type behavior or by merely supporting it and egging on such behavior, yes, creating a valid pretense for their criminal behavior, claiming that Tiffany was the one who started it all by giving out the porn video herself, therefore she is at fault, even though they are actually the ones who have been carrying out all of the public publishing of Tiffany's personal porn video. Am I right? You bet I am. And you can't deny that. They refuse to see what they're actually doing and guilty of. Why though? It's simple, because they hate Tiffany. They obviously have a personal vendetta against her and are using her personal porn video for either revenge upon her or to blackmail her for control and sadistic abuse upon her. What kind of a person can carry out some of these demented, deviant deeds, or even to justify all this? Is this the actions of a good person? Yes, these are individuals who either intentionally defy or ignorantly defy the laws that are naturally in place. A basic moral principle here that are known to be set in place that we all have to live by. People who refuse to accept the idea of enforcing the prevailing morality as a prime function of law and order. And this is where all this purposed ignorance conveniently comes into play. And that is to gang-stalk Tiffany Moser. It's really this simple. This is what really this is all about. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, especially knowing who the players are. But talking with some of these types of corrupt thinkers is a complete waste of time, because they only have one single agenda, and that is to completely and thoroughly destroy Tiffany Moser and her life. Many are justifying the actions in order to make them feel better, in order to really avenge Tiffany's, well, let's just say Tiffany's flawed and checkered past. No, of course, Tiffany is certainly no angel. In some of her past deeds, I myself have felt very livid about some of her questionable and wrongful behavior. But does this give people the rightful license to destroy this person's actual life? Let alone a mother of real kids at her side at home? Okay, yes, I agree. Tiffany should not be on the computer in the first place, fighting with some of society's worst rejects. I agree. But is this still an excuse to destroy a mother of two dependents at home, at her side? And think of Tiffany's accusers. What do they stand for? What has been their past record of actions? I could think of a lot of well-documented wrongdoing from some of Tiffany's accusers. That is easy. These people are playing judge, jury, and executioner. But in reality, in a court of law, a lawyer or prosecutor wouldn't touch any of these people with a 10-foot pole to be used as credible witnesses in a court of law. That's a fact. Just one glance of all their activities online says it all. The fact is, Katie, Forrest, Scott Anthony, Harry, Felix, and many others involved has no right, no room, no valid stake in this excessive, extreme, and very unreasonable abuse and judging upon Tiffany Moser. Whether you want to accept it or not, that's a fact. It does not matter what you think. It matters of what is really going on. Does this mean that I am being biased for Tiffany due to some charm she is alluring me with? You know what? I say get your head out of your ass, just for once. Get your mind out of the gutter. Try to stick to principles and to the actions themselves. This is what cuts the line between what's right and wrong. Yes, it can be done. But you know what? Considering the awful history with some of these same old players on the internet that goes around like gangs of locusts, one can only eventually conclude that these people that are out there doing the types of things that they are just plain rottenness to the bone, beyond rehabilitation.